for being here at this very confusing time. And thank you for being able to manage your coffee and snacks in a different location today. We were just trying to mess with you. We were. Mostly we were trying to get everybody in together so we could get started because we have a really nice program today for you. So Jim is going to open us up.
Yeah, I'm going to pray, but first a couple of announcements. If you look in your bulletin, inside, after the service right here, Bill Spear is going to do his questions from the 66 books, or Mark. He's in Mark. And so as soon as we're done here with the first service, just go across the hallway over there and enjoy the Bible study. And then if you notice, tomorrow night, Rob will be starting his Screw Tape Letters group. Okay, you can ask him about it if you'd like to join. And that's a first. And then we are doing, yeah, he's got the books right there. There he is. See? So if you've never read Screw Tape Letters, it is worth reading. It's very easy and fun. And then Ryan and I are doing Revelation tomorrow night as well. Okay, right over here in the comments. So come. If you can't come and you want to join via Zoom, just send me an email, text, or talk to me afterwards, and I'll give you the link for that. Okay? But in the meantime, let's pray. Father, what a special treat today to meet some of our partners. Lord, you know the heart of our church. I mean, our DNA goes back over 100 years into this community and helping the people that are here. And so it's a great joy to introduce to you some of our partners and the work that we're doing here locally. So thank you. I pray that you would bless them as they come up and share, and bless Jude. And Lord, thank you for keeping us safe. For those that are on the road right now in the middle of this cold weather, keep them safe as well as they're coming here. In Jesus' name, amen. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm asking you for your patience in advance because you may or may not know how much I am not a public speaker. So thank you for being good Christian people filled with forgiveness and grace. We really appreciate that. So if you guys want to come up, I'm going to just make a few remarks here. And I'm going to ask Errol to go ahead and put on this opening song. Anywhere you want to sing.
The sea is calm and all is right. When I feel your favor flood my life. Even in the good I'll follow you. Even in the good I'll follow you. And when the boat is tossed upon the waves, and I wonder if you keep me safe. Even in the storms I'll follow you. Even in the storms I'll follow you. I believe everything that you say you are. I believe and I've seen your unchanging heart in the good things and in the hardest part. I believe and I will follow you. I believe and I will follow you. When I see the wicked prospering, when I feel I have no voice to sing, even in the wants I'll follow you. Even in the wants I'll follow you. I believe everything that you say you are. I believe and I have seen your unchanging heart in the good things and in the hardest part. I believe and I will follow you. I believe and I will follow you. When I find myself so far from home, and you lead me somewhere that I don't wanna go, even in my death I'll follow you. Even in my death I'll race I've run, and I receive the prize that Christ has won. I will be with you in paradise. Oh, I will be with you in paradise. I believe everything that you say you are. I believe and I have seen your unchanging heart in the good things and in the hardest part. I believe and I will follow you. I believe and I will follow you. I believe everything that you say you are. I believe and I've seen your unchanging heart in the good things and in the hardest part. I believe and I will follow you. I believe and I will follow you. I believe and I will follow you.
Boy, we just love that song. We're so glad you're here to join us today for Outreach Sunday. This song kind of represents what we believe as a church and why we're in the community, and how we work in the community, what our ways are in the community, our achievements, our partnerships, even our failures in the community. So today you're going to meet some folks who are inside our church, who work hard working in the community, and then some of our community partners. And we have a few of them here with us today. We're so grateful that they came to present to you, to give you just a feel for some of the folks we work with in our community. There's a scripture, Jeremiah 29:11 through 13. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you'll call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. This has been a powerful piece of scripture, and ironically, we've had many references to that scripture even this week with several people we've worked with. When we're working with people in trouble or in crisis, how do we encourage them to seek God with all of their hearts? Does He not promise us that He'll hear our cries if we call on Him, pray and seek Him fully? How do we ourselves do this and model this for those who do not have a belief or who have rejected God? What is keeping them or us from engaging in God's plan for their life? What is keeping us from engaging? What are some things that keep us from engaging? You're all fully engaged. How about loss? How about pain? How about rejection? How about loneliness or disappointment or addiction? Insecurity, resentment, lack of resiliency. These are all things many of these things we all deal with. But these seem to be the kind of paramount things that we see with our partners as we're working with folks in trouble in the community. Our outreach teams really do believe in everything that God says He is, which is what this song was all about. This is what keeps us serving in our community. We're attempting to do what God expects people of faith to do. Reach out and serve, not for our glory, but for His. Try. Attempt. We often fail, but at least we get out there and give it a shot. Even in the good, I'll follow you. Even in the storms, I'll follow you. Even in the want, I'll follow you. Years ago, the Barna Institute released outcomes. I think I've shared this with you before. Barna Institute keeps information on Christian organizations, and they calculate things that have to do with faith organizations. And they asked how many exposures did a person of faith have before they actually started to believe and started to walk with God? How many exposures to God did they have? And they said the average was 9 exposures. And we thought, in our benevolence team, we think, that's kind of a carrot for us. Maybe our team, our exposure to our team, and you in whatever it is you do, you might be one of those 9. We might be one of those 9. We hope we're number 3 or number 7 and not number -4, hopefully, and we can't control that too much. But this gives us encouragement in our hearts, because if we can show God's love to someone just once and they go off on their life, maybe they'll remember that we represented that to them. When our team meets with people in our church or community, we're not keeping score or calculating anything. We honestly do sometimes wonder how people get themselves into such deep waters. And sometimes people live permanently in deep waters. Some are pretty good swimmers. Some never get to the edge of the pond, but we review their request. And this I'm just going to share. This is our process here. We review their request, we pray over it, and then we decide, based on our collective experience, is their request something that we can help them with? Is this really the best way? Could a better, more sustainable idea be to do something else other than financial, like maybe reconcile with a family, or learn a new skill, or find counseling to help with success barriers? We can help with that. Can we create a budget with somebody? Are they willing to develop a new plan rather than the old plan that hasn't been working? The problem with a new plan is it has to make sense to us as well as the person. We find oftentimes people are unwilling to enact change for constructive results, but we've also had amazing stories and amazing results with people we've served. We never ever want to fuel a sense of entitlement in anyone, because we really believe the negative outcomes of an entitlement culture are evident right now. Sometimes someone just really needs a friend to talk to be heard, to have someone to care about them, and unfortunately sometimes we have to say, no, sorry, we can't help you on that path. We can help you plan another way. We can cultivate tools with you. We can encourage you in constructive plans. We can love and we can care about you. A painful aspect of serving in our community is sometimes we have to say no, and it's not anyone's favorite answer, including mine. You need to know sometimes our team takes a hit. We take it in the teeth when we have to say no to someone. As a matter of fact, I was laughing about this. It wasn't that funny at the time, but last summer, Rob got called a really foul name by a guy he'd spent 3 solid weeks every single day working with, every single day. And at the end of the 3 weeks, he said, maybe you should start picking up this on your own. And the name he called Rob was not in the NIV version, I know. It might have been in the King James version. I don't know. But I'm just saying. So we got to stay strong. We got to be tough and caring at the same time. Our benevolence team faithfully studied various contemporary classic books, from The Tragedy of American Compassion, my personal favorite, and When Helping Hurts, which is a very, very important book, Toxic Charity, which is well known by a lot of people. There's a green sheet in the book Toxic Charity. These books are studies on outcomes around how to best serve those in need, and we've learned much about what is truly helpful and edifying, and what leads people to expectation and entitlement. That's a picture of our dreaded green sheet. I don't know if you can read what's on it, but it's the rules of how to help someone without, while retaining their honor and dignity. But it is not easy. These on this sheet are important values and very hard sometimes to stick to. The system of values is what we try to keep in front of us at each meeting to remind all of us that when helping is helpful, or when helping is hurtful, or when compassion stops being compassionate. We take the stewardship of your generosity very, very seriously. We work hard to represent you and DCC well. We're committed to the privacy of the people we serve, so we'll not share any names or families or individuals we work with. The benevolence team carries a lot of burdens for our community, and we share only with each other those burdens. Just in the last year, we've served, and these numbers are down a little bit after COVID, we've served over 150 individuals, and so far, using $53,000 in funds. That all came from you. That came from you. We could not do this without you. The primary use is for rent, medical supplies, transportation, clothing, bus tickets. Sometimes we help folks who are living in their cars, and so forth. Reconciliation with families. And that's how our funds are used. So today I'm really excited to present to you some of our wonderful partners here. And I'm just going to introduce you really quickly to them. These are people from different organizations within the community. And I personally, you probably know this, I feel free to call them. Hopefully they feel as free to call me or us at the church when they have a need, and that we can work together sometimes to help an individual or a family. So we're so grateful. They all work so hard in the community. We're so grateful they're here. I'm going to start with Tracy Fletcher. Tracy is from Timberline Adult Day Services. And she can describe her mojo much better than I can, so I'm just going to let her do that. Thanks, Tracy.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Like Jude said, I'm Tracy with Timberline Adult Day Services, not to confuse that with Timberline Childcare or the many other Timberline organizations in the county. We serve adults 18 and older with developmental and physical disabilities. So that ranges from, we have folks with autism, we've had folks with cerebral palsy, to folks with varying levels of dementia. We provide respite care Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30. We are housed in the Senior Center in Frisco, and we are open 50 weeks a year. Not only do we provide respite, we provide community for these folks that oftentimes are isolated because there's nowhere else for them to go. So we, for example, see these kiddos who are aging out of the high school at Summit High, and they're able to come to us and still have that community that they are then often losing, which I know can be hard for them. So it just provides that variety of respite and community for folks. This last year, we celebrated 20 years serving the community. We not only serve Summit County, but we have second homeowners, we have vacationers that come in, and not to mention our surrounding counties. We are the only program like this in our region. You really have to go to Steamboat, Colorado Springs, Denver, Grand Junction to find this type of care. So it's a unique program for sure for our county. I think oftentimes folks think because we're in the senior center, we only serve seniors. So I think we're always trying to get out the word that we do serve younger folks. We have a 16-year-old who can't wait to come to Timberline. He's adorable, and he'll come and spend some time with us occasionally, but he's so excited to come with us when he graduates or starts that transition from graduation. So it's really exciting to see that enthusiasm. We definitely are a community, and we have an amazing staff. A lot of our staff have been there for years. We have one other full-time staff other than myself, and 4 part-time. Everybody, minus myself, are CNAs or RNs that care for our participants. We also have the mobility program. A lot of folks know Timberline from that. They're borrowing shower chairs or walkers or things if somebody's had surgery. So it's a service that we work in tandem with Rotary on as well. So if you've ever come to get equipment, that's Timberline that provides that service. It's all donation-based. And then the last thing I was going to mention is that we have our upcoming fundraiser on February 8th at the Silverthorne Pavilion. It's a great way to meet our community, meet our board members, meet our volunteers and supporters, and just come out and support our event.
Yeah, they do a lot of great work in the community. It's such a needed thing. So now we're so excited to have Irena and Oyuki from the Department of Human Services. And we work a lot with the DHS, and we're happy to have them with us today and eager to hear what they want to tell us.
Thank you for having us. It is not every day that we are all getting together in the same place, and it is wonderful to meet one another. My name is Irena. I'm a case manager with the Summit County Department of Human Services. And what is the Department of Human Services? What does it offer? There are a few services within. Child support services, child welfare, and the economic security unit. I will just briefly give you some info about what these programs are and what do we do within. The child support services, for the child support services, the goal is to ensure that all children receive financial assistance from both parents. A child support order can be established administratively at no cost, provides services to establish paternity, and assists in enforcing monthly payments assigned by the courts. The child welfare is a group of services designed to promote the well-being of children by ensuring safety and strengthening families to successfully care for their children. The Adult Protective Services investigates allegations of mistreatment, physical and sexual abuse, caretaker neglect, exploitation, harmful acts, self-neglect for at-risk adults. The following programs are offered within the Economic Security Unit. Food assistance, or SNAP benefits, provides benefits to low-income families to assist with the cost of food. Medical assistance is public health insurance for qualifying Colorado residents, individuals, children, pregnant women, people who have some disabilities or are older. The financial assistance for adults provides financial assistance to individuals who have been determined to have a disability that precludes them from working for 6 months or more. Colorado Works, or TANF, is financial assistance for qualifying families with children, pregnant women, help with financial emergencies with household costs, counseling costs, or job training. It is designed to assist families in becoming self-sufficient. For the majority of these programs, there are eligibility criteria that need to be met and income limits. We have to comply with rules, federal and state rules and regulations. As part of our everyday job, we are referring community members to resources that are available in Summit County. Dillon Community Church and the benevolence team within has been essential to our common goal, supporting those in need. Each and every one of us provides, in our own way, a service and support. However, working together, we help people regain hope and dignity, stability. Thank you, Dillon Community Church, for everything that you do for our community. Within our service, we do offer another program, which is childcare assistance. Oyuki is the coordinator of the program, and she's doing an awesome job. She will tell you a few words about it.
So as Irina said, I am with what we call CCAP, which is the Colorado Child Assistance Program. Really, my goal is just to get out in the communities in events such as these, because I am trying to recruit individuals or families that are wanting to watch children in their home, and CCAP would help families pay for those services so they can continue to thrive in our communities by working, attending schools, or whatever the family may need in order to stay economically stable. Thank you.
Yeah, they work so very hard, and we work a lot of times with the same people with DHS. We'll call them, they'll call us, and maybe together we can help a family in different ways with our different capacities. We've also been involved with DHS for a number of years now in a county emergency plan, and so that's been really rewarding to work with them on that. So next we have our friends Scott and Travis from the Sheriff's Department SMART team, and we want them to come up and tell you how smart that department is.
It's tough to follow.
No pressure, no pressure.
I'm Travis. This is Scott. We're with the Summit County Sheriff's Office, specifically with the SMART program. Does anybody know what SMART stands for? If I had money, I'd give it to you, that you could donate back. So our SMART stands for System-Wide Mental
Assessment Response Team.
Team. So, see, I can't even get it right myself.
That's okay.
Our program is set up with kind of two pieces to it. We've got what we refer to as our co-response team, which is a plainclothes police officer and a licensed clinician. They respond to any mental health or suicide threat type call that comes in through 911 with the purpose of stabilizing that situation and releasing patrol or city police back to the street. And then we are both case managers, and the second part of the process is we follow up with the individuals that have come into contact with the co-response team to see if we can, what supports they need to help further stabilize and address their situation. And really the ultimate aim is to not criminalize mental health concerns. And as those of you, if you've paid attention to how mental health response works in the United States, oftentimes when there's not programs similar to ours, individuals who are in mental health crisis end up in either the emergency department or the jail. And those aren't, and certainly not in our community, the Summit Medical Center is not really set up to support mental health crises long-term, and the jail certainly is not. And it's not the appropriate spot for those individuals, and so our team's real purpose is to aim to stabilize them and keep them out of those situations.
Good, thank you. Specifically, as far as what us as case managers do, thanks. We pick up where the clinicians leave off. So they'll come in, as Travis said, they'll do a mental health assessment on an individual. They'll help de-escalate them. They'll give them some tools to deal with anxiety or whatever they're coping with at that point. But if they want some long-term support, so for example, if they want to connect with mental health resources, we can do that, along with 3 other case managers that we have on staff. We can work with an individual for as little as a few days, or there are times when we help individuals for months or sometimes even years. One example of that is, let's say our co-responders come in contact with someone who's distraught at a convenience store. They're intoxicated, and when they get on scene, they discover this person is homeless. They've been homeless for an extended period of time. They're struggling with alcohol and probably other substance issues as well, and they probably have some mental health issues that they'd like to have addressed. So initially, we can help them get connected with food pantries. We can connect them with free mental health resources. But then in the long term, if they want, we can connect them to programs like Harvest Farms, which is a 2-year residential program that helps people with alcohol issues. Or Fort Lyon, which is down south in Colorado, which is a similar program that helps people who are struggling with homelessness and alcohol. So we can do anything from, as I said, very brief issues to very long-term support, depending on a client's needs. Again, voluntary, completely free. Oh, by the way, I want to thank your benevolent team and your entire congregation for all the support that you give us. Typically, what we do when we have a unique situation is we'll give Jude a call and say, hey, we've got this and we don't have a really good resource for a funding for this situation. Can you help us? And every time you folks come through for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. In terms of the scope of what we do as case managers, we're pretty flexible. We know the resources that we have in the county very well. Again, it's easy for us to connect people with no-cost mental health therapy, food pantries. If someone doesn't have a car and they have medication, we'll go to the pharmacy and we'll pick up their medication for them. If they needed to go to the grocery store, we can give them a ride to the grocery store. If they need to get to a mental health appointment, we'll drive them. If they need to get to a long-term care facility and they say, listen, I've reached the point in my life where I don't want to live on the streets anymore and they need help, we'll take a 3-hour drive to Southern Colorado and we'll get them where they need to go. So hopefully that's a good little snapshot of what we do. Again, we're going to be sitting over here on the side afterwards if you have any questions for us. And again, thank you very much for all your support.
Thank you for letting me tease you a little bit, but gosh, the work they do is so great in our community. We also wanted to make mention, because we've worked so closely this year with the hospital, we've worked so closely with Casey and some of the chaplains over at St. Anthony's Common Spirit Health. Is that right? Okay, just changed. Anyway, Casey was unable to make it today, but we worked so closely with her and with other staff at the hospital too. As people maybe had a crisis, there was an accident, they went to the hospital, they don't have resources, someone passes away, someone is with them, things like that. So we've been able to really be blessed by working with them this year a lot too. And along with our other, if you have a little handout, you see a list of a lot of the people we work with FERC and advocates and all of these other agencies that we continue to work with. And we're just so grateful that they allow us to work with them, and they still mostly talk to us. So we are so grateful for all of you, and they will be over at their tables at the end of our little time together today. If you have questions for any of these folks, they'll be here to answer your questions or to help you with information on them. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. Why don't you do something? Not you, I mean, that was the name of the thing. That did sound challenging, didn't it? Jeez. And they put me up here. There we go.
I woke up this morning, saw a world full of trouble now. I thought, how do we ever get so far down? And how's it ever gonna turn around? So I turned my eyes to heaven. I thought, God, why don't you do something? Well, I just couldn't bear the thought of people living in poverty, children sold into slavery. The thought disgusted me, so I shook my fist at heaven. I said, God, why don't you do something? He said, I did. Yeah. I created you. God's hands and feet, but it's easier to say than to be. Live like angels of apathy. We tell ourselves it's alright, somebody else will do something. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of life with no desire. I don't wanna flame, I wanna fire. I wanna be the one who stands up and says, I'm gonna do something. If not us, then who? If not me and you, right now. It's time for us to do something. Yes, it is. Come on. If not now, then when will we see an end to all this pain? Oh, well, it's not enough to do nothing. It's time for us to do something. We are the salt of the earth. We are a city on a hill. We're never gonna change the world by standing still. No, we won't stand still. No, if not us, then who? If not me and you. It's time for us to do something. If not now, then when will we see an end to all this pain? Well, it's not enough to do nothing. It's time for us to do something. It's time for us to do something.
That's what I meant. I am so thrilled to have Tony Scalise here. Many of you are involved in our food bank and have been over the years. Maybe you haven't been and you're interested in information about it. But our food bank folks have worked so hard. It's a backbreaking job, and it's a very, very important outreach in our church. And Tony has blessed us by becoming our new food bank director. So I'm just going to let him speak for himself and tell you a little bit about what's going on.
Thanks, Jude. First, I want to give a shout out to all the food bank people. Sometimes I get emotional. It's kind of a thankless job, other than the thanks we get from those that we serve. And I'd like to start by just saying thank you to all of the generous people here at the church. Without you, we wouldn't have anything to give these people. And all you have to do is come once or twice, and you'll see the gratitude, the joy that you see in these people's faces. And Scott, you may not remember, but, well, you probably do remember, but there was a couple times that Scott brought us some people, and it will just, like this one gentleman, it just ripped my guts out. He was so joyful. He was crying up there because he was in a really tough position. And if you need some affirmation in your life, or if you just like to feel what it feels like to help people, to seriously help people, the food bank is a place for you, because every now and then somebody comes along that it just breaks your heart, or it opens your heart with so much joy because you know you were able to help this person. And I took this food bank job because I was standing back there at the table, because you guys might recognize me from the AV team, which I'd like to give a shout out to them too. So they do a great job every week. But I have a story of just even one person that you talk about encouraging. Spanish-speaking gentleman, probably came from south of the border, showed up in a t-shirt and flip-flops one day, and it was snowing out. And I asked him using Google Translate, thank heaven for that, do you need a jacket? And he said yes. And we had a nice benefactor that left us a bunch of winter clothes. So I went back and found him a jacket, and he was so happy to get that jacket, and the food, of course. And then just this past week, or last week, he was looking for a pair of pants, like a winter pants, and I had some ski gear that someone had donated, and we were able to give him a pair of pants. And just on Friday, he brought someone else that he knew needed help and to get some food, and he asked if I had another pair of pants, and I was able to give that gentleman a pair of pants. And so it's so encouraging to me personally, because I've always thought, I've got it made as far as, and I'm sure a lot of you probably think the same way. Why has God been so good to me, and why has he blessed me so much, and he's put so many of these people in really tough situations that I don't know if I could make it through. So the food bank puts these people in a position to take care of themselves, and if you've ever been hungry, these people experience it all the time. So if there's anybody that would be interested in serving at the food bank, even just one day a month, we are open 3 days a week. We also do food pickups on Wednesdays and Fridays that we could use a little help there as well. It's just a short, maybe a 2-hour day at the most. We have a ball. There's a few of us that take the van, and we drive around to all our donators and pick up the food, and we get to see them again, and it's a lot of fun. I encourage you, if you really feel a call to do something, as this video ironically was stating, I think the food bank could use your help. Doesn't take a whole lot of time, and it's very, very satisfying knowing that you're helping a lot of people. So I'll be over at a table over here at the end of the service today, and if you'd like to talk about it, or if you'd like to take a look at the food bank, I'd be more than happy to take you over there and show you what we do, show you just how stocked up we are, thanks to all of you folks. So a deep thank you from myself and the team. There I go again. That's how satisfying it is. So if you'd like to help us, come see me. We'll put you to work. And your kids too. So we could use some youth. A lot of us guys that are running it now, we're a bunch of old goats, and we're not going to be around forever. So we need the youth to step up as well. So Leland, wherever you are, keep that in mind. Thank you, everybody, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. He's very, very tough and tender, isn't he? And the food bank gives you lots of opportunity to really see the need in the community and to connect with wonderful people who come and just have a need, and we can help them with food. And in case you wondered, we started the food bank, DCC started the food bank in about 1994, and it was one of our folks worked for a bread company and brought the leftover bread from the day's rounds, and so we had a closet in the old church, and that was our food bank. So we've been a food bank for a long, long time in the community, and we're really proud of that, and our partners that we work with too in the community. So we've got a little something else to show you, and our benevolence team is going to come on up. okay, we can still have fun, right? I love that. It's a little inspiration to go help somebody across the street. I'm so thrilled we have our benevolence team. We have all of them with us today. And I'm so proud of all the work they do. And I'm just going to, again, let them speak for themselves. They each have a little story, and I hope you'll be thinking of that today in stories. We have so many stories, but each of them are going to tell you something that touched them personally and individually in one of the many, 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 many people that they've worked with, okay? And we're going to start with our friend John Julian.
Thanks. So, about a year and a half ago, a young man came to the Benevolence Committee with an application, and what he wrote on his application was, "My life fell apart. My wife left my 11-year-old son and myself. She took our only vehicle and the money that we had for this month's bills." And all he requested from the Benevolence Committee was that he needed some money for that week's food, which wasn't very much, which is kind of unusual. So I was impressed that he was there with just such a minimal request. So I called him and met with him the next day, and we got to chat, and his biggest concern was for his son, and I was very impressed that that was a big priority for him. He now had no car. Suddenly he's a single parent, and he's got to do time management with going to work and getting his son to school. His son was playing football, so he had practice back and forth. And he was wondering at this point whether he should stay in the county or move, because his wife was no longer with them, helping support them financially, and so he was in a mess. So I asked him if we could pray together. He was very receptive to that, and I told him that I would get back with him as soon as I met with our committee. So our committee decided unanimously to help them with the next month's rent, which would take a big burden off of them. And in the meantime, he was talking to people, and a friend of his loaned him an old beater car that was just barely running. And this young man happened to be a mechanic. He was working at one of the ski resorts here as a snowcat mechanic, so he had experience with that. So he kept the car going, got them around. And his boss at his job, when he heard about what was going on with this man, he was very supportive, and he started looking for options for him to maybe work elsewhere at a sister resort in Minnesota. And when he told me that, I encouraged him, to seriously think about that, because that could open up a lot of doors for him. So about a month later, we talked again, and things started to move, and he said, looks like I'm going to get that job in Minnesota. He said his boss had worked things out, and they just needed to figure out how they were going to move and stuff and get housing. And so they took off, and they went for it. And I got a call from him, and he said, I got the job. They're actually paying me more than what I was making before here. The housing was a lot cheaper. His son, which was a big concern, him leaving his school, his friends, and his football team, he was now acclimating really well at school. He got to join their football team out there, which was his biggest passion. And we talked, and he told me, he said, God really answered our prayers in so many of the details. That's what he told me. And fast forward a year later, about 3 weeks ago or so, I got a text message from this man. And he sent me a picture of his son, and I wish I had the ability to show this to you up top, but his son was standing in his football uniform on the Minnesota Vikings football field. His team got invited at school to go play a game at the Vikings stadium. And so then I called him after I got the text, and we got to chat about how well things were going for him. And it's just, not all the stories that we have up here are ones that turn out quite like this one did, but it was amazing. And the takeaway, I guess, is, you often feel overwhelmed and ill-equipped to help people, and you find yourself getting wrapped up in their story, and you begin to feel the weight of what they're going through. And you really don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't think that I have any special abilities to work with people on all these levels. I don't have a broad enough amount of life experience to understand what they're going through. And I'm always tempted to fix things. But I think the thing that was important, and he helped me acknowledge this, was that, I think it was important for him to see that it wasn't the guy at the church that was fixing all his problems. He acknowledged that God was doing these things because little helps were coming from all different directions for him. So serving on the benevolence team, you get a front row seat to see God's actively involved in the lives of all these people. Thank you.
I'm Paul Rostek, and I have the pleasure of serving on the benevolence ministry also. The benevolence ministry receives a wide range of applications from various clients. The role of the committee is to prayerfully consider the application with a view to helping those in the community that have a genuine need, while also being good stewards of your money. Some of the applicants have a great sense of entitlement. Their stories change every time you have an interaction with them, and it gets very frustrating at times. But there are many clients who are established members of our community, and they've just run into a short-term crisis and need some short-term help, and we're there for them. I'd like to share a story of a young married couple we helped about 18 months ago. The couple learned that they were about to have their first child, and they decided it would be better to raise that child here in Colorado rather than in Colorado where they were living. So they moved out here. He's a skilled auto mechanic. He was able to transfer his job from California to Summit County, and his wife quickly got a job as assistant store manager in a local retail store. They found themselves a small apartment and started preparing for their new life in Colorado and the soon-to-be child. However, the wife experienced complications early in the third semester of the pregnancy, and the doctors told her she needed to quit work. This obviously was a shock to them. And as things progressed with the pregnancy, she was then required not only not to work, but also to move to the Front Range, to a lower altitude. Her loss of earnings, the cost of the husband frequently going down to visit his wife in hospital down in the Front Range, the unexpected medical bills all took a big dent in their savings. And whilst their family were able to help a little bit, they found themselves in a short-term crisis. They couldn't come up with the last month's rent and a 1 month's deposit to move into a 2-bedroom apartment for when the baby was born. And they approached us asking for some assistance. Thankfully, I got the case. They're a lovely couple. We got to meet with them, got to become friends with them, and so we were able to help them move into the department. We paid the deposit on their housing. I'm pleased to report that after the baby was born, the wife's grandmother from California came over to help them get established and allow her to go back to work. When the lease was up, they decided that she wanted to stay at home and raise the child full time. And so they decided that it would be better for them to move to a lower cost housing in Leadville. He was able to continue his well-paid secure job as an auto mechanic, and she is at home looking after their young baby. My wife Tricia and I had the pleasure of staying in contact with them. We were invited to the little baby's first birthday party. The couple were so appreciative of what this church had done in this time of need. They actually offered, once they got back on their feet, to reimburse us for the money. We explained that that isn't why we're here. We're here to come alongside people in need, and we're not looking for, it's not a loan, it's a gift. What I would say is this ministry does a great job of coming alongside people and giving this church and the members of this committee the opportunity to share God's love with people in need. And it's situations where, quite honestly, it's so important that we as a church actually demonstrate God's love to community. And it's a great joy being part of this ministry with some wonderful people and hopefully making a difference and letting them see that, you know, not every believer is pointing the fingers. Some of us are out there trying to make a difference. So I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to serve.
Hi, I'm Jan Miller, and first and foremost, I want to shout out to Jude. She is an incredible leader of this team. She has taught us all lots of discernment. She adds some humor, lightens the load sometimes, but there's not one application that comes to us that she hasn't seen or met with them and spent hours in her office trying to keep them from going over the edge. So she makes it all happen. Anyway. That being said, John and Rob were working with a client that was a chronic alcoholic living in the Safeway parking lot. And Jude brilliantly said, I wonder if his girlfriend needs a friend or needs someone to talk to. So I had the privilege of meeting with her, and I learned a lot about being homeless and what it's like in this county. And she never asked for money, but the friendship grew and the support. And she did live, I don't know how she did this, but she lived in the Safeway parking lot for 3 months while her partner was in jail. And she did eventually, she got a job in Frisco. She had no working car, and she had a nice person at work give her an apartment. So she did start to settle down. She did marry this gentleman and went through lots of up and downs with his alcoholism. She spent any money she had to go on the bus stand to get down to Denver to see him. He was very near death at one occasion. So in the 4 years that she was here, she came from Sydney, and I asked her, why did you come here? Sight unseen, not knowing anybody. And she said, well, I met him on the internet, and she had this psychic response that she needed to come and help him. So I thought, ooh, this is going to be a challenge. So we met often and talked. Every time we got together, she always wanted me to pray with her. She would call me at times and ask for prayer because she was just down and out. And one of the things I'd love to emphasize is we all care about a relationship with these people. It's very hard to have us deal with them, they want the check and they're gone. But that's not us at all. And we try best to gain their trust and then speak the truth to them and guide them gently into making better decisions, and hopefully send them successfully away, feeling confident that God is with them. We are only the vessel that shows them what God can do for them, and they can begin to be more successful and get out of this valley that they've been in. So thanks.
Hi, I'm Rob, and John and Paul and Jan stole my thunder. So, I met Abe last Friday. Think back of last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, Abe walked in and he was wearing the same kind of shoes that Tony was wearing. If you watched, he was wearing kind of a house slipper, Tony. And he needed gloves. He didn't have gloves. He needed a warm hat. And you know that volunteering, just do it. Sometimes we just don't know how to do what we have to do. And I found myself in that situation. But he announced at that same time that he needed housing. And once again, housing up here is a challenge that we often don't have an answer for. That he was going to be homeless. He would be out of the hotel, the Dillon Hotel, that you know, just down the street. His room had been paid for, and he would be leaving on Sunday. And so I got together with several of the committee available at that time on that Friday. In fact, Tony helped him get some food and that we could take back to his hotel room. And they agreed, the committee agreed that since he had already been offered a job at Lowe's and there was a possibility of having a roommate situation, that we would extend his stay for a week to give him some time for stability. And with that, I took him to the hotel, and I also invited him, Abe, to come to our Sunday service. And I picked him up the next morning on Sunday. And if you think back on what Sunday was like, it was chaotic, getting just out of the parking lot. He came. We know that God orchestrated a lot of what happened. He met many of you, and he also heard Ryan Leeds. His message was about the image of God. Now, he explained, he said, I know Jesus was a prophet, but I follow the Muslim faith, and I believe in Muhammad. But on the way, he also had told me that he needed to be in Lakewood immediately because of health issues. The doctor had said, you have high blood pressure and you need to get to lower elevation. And so he said, if you take me to Lakewood, maybe I can find a place there near Lowe's down there. And so we did that. And I had a captive audience all the way, and we talked a lot about what Jesus put on my heart. And so we get down there, and West Colfax is a foreign country. It's an amazing place, scary. We found a motel for him that looked like it had some security, some protection. And so that was on Sunday. On Monday, he said, I found that I have a job offer in Tucson, Arizona, and it's a little bit more compatible to what I'm used to. He being from Male in Africa, and so he said, how can I get there? And we've got a plan. We've got a plan that he will be getting on a bus tomorrow, and he'll be going to Arizona. And what I'd like to piggyback on or follow what has been said this morning is that this is Jesus and God working through us. And he had met and was so welcomed here on that Sunday that when I left him yesterday, he said, please tell Bill, Alicia, John, Tony, Mike, Jude, that I will miss them. And I saw Jesus through that welcoming church you have. And so you all plant the seed. We don't know what that's going to turn out to be, but I just give you thanks, and it takes all of us to do the benevolence. Thanks. And I'm going to introduce Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Thompson. 3 years ago, we had an application come in from a young mother that had 2 young daughters. She was seeking out assistance for help with her rent. So I was lucky to get her, for it to be assigned to me, and I went and met her for coffee and got to hear her story. First of all, she's a United States citizen, but she ended up marrying a man down in Mexico. They had their 2 daughters down there, and they lived with his parents, and he worked for his father. The marriage was going okay for a while, but then it became abusive. So at that point, she knew she needed to make a plan to get out, get back up to the United States with her 2 daughters. So luckily, her husband had a brother that lived up here in Summit County. And so he had a good paying job, it was stable, and he was able to get her husband up here to take care of the job as well. So all 4 of them moved up, they found a place to live, and things were going pretty well. It was going okay, but then of course, it happened again, the abuse happened again. So that she, at one night when it had escalated, she had to call the police, and then also the SMART team came in, and she ended up putting up a restraining order from him, and then also filing for divorce. So with this story, this coffee that I learned all this from, I went back to our team and I told them her story, and we all decided that, yes, we would help her with her rent. She was in a bad situation, and so we wrote the check. So I went with her to her divorce hearing. I went and supported her. She was all alone, and she got custody of her 2 daughters, which was awesome. So she found affordable living. She got a job at the DA's office in Breckenridge as a translator. And she was doing great, but she still missed being available to her 2 daughters. So she sought other employment and found a job as being a property manager. And with that, she could work from home. They gave her a discount on her 2-bedroom apartment. And it was great because it was really close to her daughter's school. So everything was really going well for the three of them. She liked her job, the girls were doing well in school, but her story gets better. She falls in love. And she falls in love with a man who is really gentle and kind. He has never been married, never had children of his own, so he could devote all of his time to her and her daughters. So they got married, and when they were planning the wedding, and we have become very close, as you can tell, as they were planning the wedding, her father was not able to come up for the wedding. And so my husband, John, walked her down the aisle. She asked him, which was really a great honor. So the four of them are doing beautifully. They love their jobs. They're in love with each other. The girls are thriving, and everything is working out really, really well for them. And of course, we all have a really close relationship with them. But she wanted to just to thank you for what DCC did for her in such a time of need, such a crisis in her life that she had never planned for. And I also would like to thank all of DCC and the congregation for all the support that you give the benevolence ministry. Thank you.
Morning, I'm Mike Kermode, and I'm going to give you a thumbnail sketch of the Reader's Digest version of my friend and client, Raj. Now, that's a fictitious name used for today's purposes. I met Raj 20 years ago when he was an employee for a contractor that was working on my house. And at that time, he's in his mid to upper 50s today. At that time, he was heavily involved with drugs and alcohol. And in large part, he had injured himself on the job. And so his pain meds that he took enough to kill any person in this room at one sitting, he'd follow that down with a half pint of vodka. And so the man was really under the influence. And he was living hand to mouth. And that's just a lifestyle. That was his lifestyle. And so he'd come to the food bank occasionally. And I'd see him in town and so forth. We were kind of friends. Just acquaintances, but that went on for years. In 2011, roughly, he came to the food bank and kind of indicated that he was really in a bad way, as if he hadn't been before, but he was in a bad way, hard times. Due to his substance abuse, he was bone on bone with his hip, finding it very difficult to work. And he's a Christian, professes to be a Christian, and I believe he is. He's constantly praying, and anyway, he was living in this empty house over at Keystone. It was a house he was working on. And there was no furniture. It was an old house with hardwood floors. And his only furniture were 2 blankets and a sheet. And that's with his hip and so forth. That's where he lived while he was working on that house. And he had actually said, "Mike, I think I'm done. I just can't do this anymore." Excuse me. So anyway, Benevolence recovered his rent for a while. Back around 2012. Just as a matter of a fluke happenstance, I was at the gym one day, and there was a doctor in there, and I was kind of talking to him about Ross. And he said, "Well, I work for the hospital down in Denver, and we have a program called Colorado Walks." And he said, "For a guy like Ross, it sounds like he'd qualify. We do free hip replacements." So that happened. Unfortunately, after the surgery, they prescribed him more oxy. And so that continued things. He promised he wouldn't overdo, and he actually did pretty good for a while. But anyway, the addiction continued. It was a major problem. It was actually killing him. He actually ended up in my house in a room and was staying there for a while. Due to his abuse, my son was about 15. Due to his abuse, I couldn't have him in the house anymore. So I informed him that it was going to be time for him to move on. And again, God at work here. A friend of mine in Sarasota, Florida, he is a recovering alcoholic himself, and was kind of like one of the head guys for the AA program in Sarasota. He said, Mike, send him down. Put him on a plane. So our team here put Raj on the plane, got him down there. He did go through the program, kinda. He's a pretty independent guy. Groups and so forth are not the 12 steps were a little difficult for him. But to speed this along a little bit, after doing his AA program, he would relapse off and on for years and years. Richard and I, the fellow down there at the program, we were thinking one day we're just going to find Ross dead with the Bible on his chest. Anyway, we've remained friends and still talk every 2 to 3 weeks. Talked with him, I don't know, a week or two ago, and he's waiting. Hopefully, I think it's this week. He's going to get his 4-month chip for sobriety again. So, anyway, hey, if you're ever feeling down, kind of depressed, or life's throwing you a curveball, go help somebody. It'll make you feel like $1 million, and pretty sure that you'll get more out of it than they will. Thank you.
All these tough guys here, and they're so tender. And one of the common things that you may have noticed today in some of these stories, I mean, the one situation that Mike was describing, that's a 12, 13-year relationship that we've had with this person, and he is dear to us. We've been in 2 or 3 different recent, benevolence meetings where the phone has rung and it's him, and so he gets to talk to all of us. So it's like a little blast from his past when he calls during a benevolence meeting. So these are such committed volunteers, and they're volunteers, and I'm so proud of them, and you all can be very proud of your benevolence team. And I know we're kind of the mystery, we're kind of the creepy closet ministry because we work in the background, but we're not in the background. We're out in the world with people and hopefully representing this church well. We are so grateful for your support for our ministry, and I'm so proud of our team here. I'm so proud of them. So thank you for letting us present to you today. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. We are, because we're still in church, going to take a little offering today. And today's offering will be contributing to our benevolence and our outreach ministries, okay? So we will have a little moment for our collection and a little video.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Oh.
We finish our time celebrating what the Lord has done for us through communion. Today we have a special treat. The Benevolence Committee is going to serve us communion. So come on down and get us ready for communion. You know, at the end of the story of the Bible, the faithful sing a song to Jesus. And here's what they sing. You are worthy to take the scroll and open its seals. Because you were slain, and with your blood, this is communion, this is why we celebrate it. And with your blood, you purchased for God persons from every tribe, language, people, and nation. Everybody's important. But then he goes on, the next verse in the song is, you have made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and they will reign on the earth. That's you. You realize that? It's the same promise he made to the Israelites, Exodus 19, the same promise that Peter talked about, 1 Peter 2, that's Revelation 5. God was most interested in creating a kingdom of priests. So why do we do this? What you guys are all talking about. Because it's the right thing to do? Sure. But that's the same reason all the other non-Christians do it. Why do we do it? Because it's a chance to reflect what Jesus has done for us. That's why. So every Sunday, what do we say? Jude, we tell them thank you for their generosity, don't we? Every Sunday we say that, and we really mean it. We could not do what we do without you. We couldn't. How many of you learned something new today about where your money goes? Great, that was the reason we did it. So if you would like to celebrate what Jesus has done, we invite you to join us for communion. And you're all invited as well, our partners. It's up to you and our guests. Okay? On the night that he was betrayed, he took the bread and he broke it, said, this is my body, which is for you. And that's what was in the song. With your blood, you purchased people for God's enjoyment and worship and honor. After supper, he took the cup and said, this cup is the new covenant in my blood. That's the coming of the Holy Spirit that enables us to do what we do. If you would like to celebrate that, then we invite you to come join us for communion. Hold on to the elements, take them back to your seat, and we'll take them together. Father, thank you for sending us your Son. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for all that you've done for us and enabled us the blessing to serve others. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Come, let's celebrate communion.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship his holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I worship your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship his holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I worship your holy name. You're rich in love and you're slow to anger. Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness I will
throughout the Psalms. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for indulging us for a few extra minutes today as we celebrate what you guys are accomplishing through some of our volunteers. We're very grateful. The body of Christ. The blood of Christ. Once again, with sincerity, thank you for being generous with our church. You can go online and give to the Benevolence Fund. That's one of the drop-down menus items. If you were touched today, then give them more money. They'll use it, won't you, Jude? They'll give it to people that need it. Have a great week. Go in peace.
I want to touch you. I want to see your face. I want to know you more, know you more. I'm reaching for the highest goal, that I might receive the prize. Pressing onward, pushing every